This week, Deadpool and Wolverine drops in theaters, so I'm going to decide to review the two Deadpool movies before this one. Today we're talking about Deadpool 2016. Here are my thoughts on it. Hi, my name is Nathan, and I talk about a lot of movies on this channel. If you're new here, down below in the comment section, share what you think of the original Deadpool over on my channel. I have more content like this. Check those out once this video is over, and if you enjoyed this video, click the like button, and be sure to subscribe because that really does help a lot. And with all that said, let's just get straight into the review, talking about the good. So, if you don't know the specific backstory to the making of this movie, essentially, Ryan Reynolds had tried so hard to make a Deadpool movie. They ruined his character in the movie X-Men Origins Wolverine, so he tried to make a Deadpool movie that properly adapted the character, and the studio kept refusing, and then test footage online eventually leaked, and that's when all the fans of the X-Men franchise really wanted to see this movie. And then eventually the studio greenlit the project, and that's how this whole thing was made. Due to fans reacting to test footage that was really good, and they really wanted to see a polished version of the movie, and this was the movie that was released, and it became one of the most fun and energetic superhero movies of all time, as it's just an absolute blast from start to finish, where obviously it's probably the funniest X-Men movie. This and Deadpool 2 are probably the funniest X-Men movies, and that is mainly due to our lead character, Wade Wilson Deadpool, who is perfectly casted by Ryan Reynolds, where it's just tough to imagine anybody else playing Deadpool other than Ryan Reynolds, because he's just so good, he's so fun in the role, and he's so energetic and charming. And even the side characters are fun too, where you just get nice little moments with like Dopinder, the Indian taxi driver, but you also just get some standouts. For me, the standout would be Weasel, played by T.J. Miller, where he just gets all these hilarious lines in both of these movies, but as of this movie, he just gets some really fun lines. And it's very quotable. Like, I could quote this movie all day.
Oh, I'm touching myself tonight.
And please don't make the super suit green or animated.
Cockshot! Oh, your poor wife.
I had a Liam Neeson nightmare. Dreamt I kidnapped his daughter. At some point, you have to wonder if he's just a bad parent.
Because you look like Freddy Krueger face fucking topographical map of Utah.
Because it's just so funny, so memorable. The jokes, 90% of the jokes absolutely do land. And so for me, it's really funny, and to pretty much everybody who's seen it, it's very funny. And when it comes to the plot of the movie, it's also just a really simple, straightforward revenge plot. But what I really think worked about this movie is that it's given a little bit more nuance to it, because it's a revenge plot about a guy that's been wronged, and he's set out for revenge, which is something we've seen many times before, but it's because of the narration throughout the entire movie by Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, the movie it finds a way to show it in a different light, where it's very non-linear, and it shows him kind of telling the story in a non-linear fashion, and so he's a little bit of an unreliable narrator, but it's still just a nice little revenge plot that can sometimes be a little bit compelling, as this guy who is stuck with terminal cancer is trying desperately to get rid of it, and this was his source that he fell for, and it turns him into what he believes is a monster. And so it's very simple, straightforward, while also being a little bit compelling in there. For this movie, I believe it had a lower budget. It has like a $58 million budget from the last time I looked. I could be wrong about that, but I still think it just looks great. The visuals just look great for a lower budget superhero film that obviously made a profit, became the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time at the time that this movie came out. And that's just what keeps coming up when thinking about this movie. It's just a refreshing superhero movie that's not aiming to be big spectacle. It's just aiming to entertain the audience, make the audience pep up and laugh, and to have the viewer have a good time watching this movie. And that's exactly what this movie does. And so for me, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm sure a lot of you really enjoy this movie. It's not all that perfect though, so let's move on to the bad. Since I really enjoyed this movie, I don't really have a lot of criticisms of it. I will say the villain is very forgettable. Ajax, Francis, I don't find him to be really a standout of this movie. More than all of our side characters who are giving more funnier bits. Ajax doesn't really have much funny bits. He's just this serious guy who's British, as they joke around in the movie. And he's just kind of a mustache-twirling villain. And he's just kind of forgettable. Like, he's not the memorable part of this movie. I found the villains in Deadpool 2 a lot funnier and memorable than the villain in this movie. Also, the stuff that they show in this movie with Wade, as the movie is shown in non-linear perspective, and so they cut back between Deadpool and Wade before he became Deadpool, and I felt all the stuff with Wade was much less interesting than the stuff with Deadpool. Now, of course, it's very important to the movie. It sets up everything that takes place. But I just didn't find that aspect to be as funny as the one with Deadpool and his antics, while still being really funny. It's just, I was much more invested in when Deadpool was on screen than when Wade, before he became Deadpool, was on screen. So, in general, still thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It's a definitely comic book movie everybody should watch, and it's a fun send-up of comic book movies while celebrating comic book movies. And so, for me, overall, I'll give it an A-. It's a fun, refreshing superhero movie that I'm sure everybody's enjoyed for the last 8 years. So, there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Deadpool. Down below in the comment section, share your thoughts on the film over on my channel. I have more content like this. Check those out right now. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end, and I will see you in the next one.